Okay, well, hello again. And today I am going to be answering questions. And one person who left a comment asked about phenomena. I'm just going to call this one supernatural phenomena. um, it kind of includes a whole category of items, so I'll talk a little bit about all of them. Now, in within within the creation, and this kind of ties into the other video, like there's God's kingdom, and then there's everything else. So there are two kingdoms, and the rest of it is under the devil. And God created the angels, and so it was 1/3 of the angels that fell. Um, Apparently, there were three archangels, right? There was Michael, Gabriel, and Lucifer. So, then they had lower ranks of angels below that. So 1/3 of them, the third under Lucifer, fell and became the devil, and then the demons below, the lower ones. So that is how we get the supernatural. Okay, so the spirit world is what we can't see really with our human eyes typically, but it's once you would pass away, you die, you would see these things. Sometimes you're allowed to see peaks of things, like an angel will appear or something, but typically we don't see things like that. So it is there. Okay, that's the spirit world. And it's again the two kingdoms. Like I say, it's just on that side. You see it in the spirit realm. It's the two kingdoms there, God's and the devil's. Um, Another clear manifestation of this on the other side is demons, in the sense of demonic possession. You typically won't see a demon, but if somebody's possessed by a demon, and they manifest, then you see that, and it's real. Okay, it happens today. Demons get cast out today, and typically the person who's possessed their eyes will roll back, or they turn white. It looks like it's rolled back, but they just appear white. It's like something else is looking out from another part of their consciousness, kind of, um, their subconsciousness or whatever. Um, so, and it will talk, and it's a different kind of a voice. It's kind of raspy and angry, and of course, so that kind of thing. Some of the things they do they're not restricted by the three dimensions and gravity that we are. They can climb walls, they can crawl across ceilings, in a person's body. Okay, they have supernatural strength. It's a lot of stuff that they can do. They know things because they've been around a long time watching. Okay, so they can, if a person is trying to cast them out, they will try to make them feel condemned based on previous sin. So the person doing the casting out has to have that sin confessed, repented of, and forgiven, of course. So then they can't hold that over you. They'll try to negotiate. They want to stay in that body at all costs. That's the thing. So, they know a Christian has the power in Jesus' name to cast them out, and you do. And you just have to come into that authority and do it. So that's how that works. and you can, many times, if you notice in the Gospels, they were commanded to be silent. You can command them to be still, to be silent, and just come out of the body. And you might take a few times, apparently demons don't like water. That's where this whole thing comes in, that so-called holy water. It's not that the water's holy, but they just don't like water. So they will use water on them. And apparently it has a sensation of burning, which is the opposite. So anyway, that's what I've heard, like they will react like it's kind of almost like a steam comes. I don't know, it's a weird, like they're burning, and it's just weird. So they don't like any references to Jesus. Like that's why they don't like crosses or anything. And it's just a symbol that he totally surrendered to God, to the Father, they don't like that, right? So they hate those things. So anything, if you start singing a worship song, for instance, they'll probably start screaming. It makes them uncomfortable. It's easier to get them out that way if there's a struggle. So that's how it goes. So yeah, but anyway, that's a whole topic. Of course, more research is necessary if you want to know all about that. There's the one where they only come out by prayer and fasting. So, that's another situation. But anyway, multiple demons can be inside a person. But that's how that happens. And they will manifest at strange times. Okay, so you never know. A person, they may have no indication of this, and then all of a sudden the demon will manifest. And that's when you know, okay, and you can cast it out. So that's it. But so it's just an example of the spirit world being evident. Okay. Otherwise, this all happens in the realm we can't see. Like a person gets demon possessed by dabbling in the occult. They open up a door, a portal to that side, and the demon eventually enters them. So that's why these things were forbidden to do. All right. But anyway, getting involved in that is how that happens. That's how they get that way, demon possessed. So this is what's going on the other side. It's like the spiritual war, and the main objective is the soul of humanity, souls of people. Okay, it's all about that. They will deceive people into thinking they don't exist and lead them, just anything to get them away from the gospel. Okay, so that's their goal. That's all they care about. However they can get that done, that's all they care about. So when it comes to these things like ghosts, now this could be, a manifestation of a demon. There is something in the Bible about at the end, I think it's either the end or the end of the millennium, when the earth gives up its dead. So, I don't know if, exactly. I mean, according to the Bible, apparently, if they don't go to heaven right away, they go to hell right away. So, it's hard to say. There's some things that are a little bit like vague in that way. I don't want to make a lot of statements, and I don't know everything about it, but it looks like they would go right away to either heaven or hell. So this could be, if there's some appearance, it's most likely a demonic manifestation. Okay, um, they can pretend to be somebody who passed away and just to lure people in. You know, one thing is, we're commanded not to communicate with the dead. Okay, that's another thing we're commanded not to do. That's called necromancy, and that's also of the occult, because there is no communication. And why, right? And some people might think, oh, I want to talk to my loved one. Yeah, but it doesn't work that way. It's forbidden in the Bible to do that. So you can open a door that way, and it's just going to be demonic influence that's coming, that kind of activity. The Christian, well, I shouldn't say Christian, but church world has somewhat cozied up to this idea, and it's wrong. So it's dangerous. So anyway, yeah, that's a no. Don't do that. Okay. But otherwise, yeah, there are all kinds of things that can manifest that way that are demonic. And of course, the whole thing with the UFOs. Now, UFOs can be that, and that would be another attempt to deceive, because if you think about that, it puts a different worldview out there, right? So that would be a deception for sure. So there's a lot of talk about this happening in the end times in different ways, and it's always as a deception. Um, so there's that, and that's another thing. You can research this online and look into that whole thing, and there are a lot of links to demonic activity. So there's that. And then and then sometimes people see things, and it is actually just highly advanced technology that governments have, and for different reasons. Surveillance would be one reason, and they don't tell the public about that, and it can look really like that kind of thing, and it's their equipment. Okay, so that's another thing that happens. So sometimes it can be that. So there's that. And then another thing they have the technology to do, it's this thing called Project Blue Beam, like beam, not, so it's like a project, and then blue like the color, and then BEAM. And you can look into this too online, and it's almost like a laser technology that gives a three-dimensional impression of an image that looks like it's there, but it's not there. And they can do all kinds of things with this. Apparently, there are a lot of plans in the end times to use this to deceive people. You can make a false apparition this way. Somebody, oh, look, this whatever person is appearing in the sky, and they can make anything they want manifest and fool people into thinking it's this or that, and it's not. It's just a projection. That's what it is. So they have the technology to do that, and they've already used it. They've tested it, and it worked. Okay, so anyway, that's something to be aware of. Keep these things in mind. It says in the end times there will be many false signs and wonders, and they're real signs, but they're false in the sense that they're not of God. Okay, so keep that in mind. And then another thing, talk about the supernatural, of course, that can go on and on, but these are just some of those items I'm addressing. And then another one, I see a lot of videos on YouTube that they are fascinated with what is called the Nephilim. Nephilim. What this is supposed to be is some kind of giants. And you know how the Bible mentions giants at the beginning and how they got there, that mix between the fallen angels. So anyway, they refer to them as that term, like as if there's still some around, and they refer to that Nephilim thing all the time. And now, I'm not aware of any evidence that there are any giants left on the planet. They weren't all wiped out in the flood, because it still talks about them when they conquered Israel, like Goliath was a giant. So there were some left somehow, maybe, or they did it again and made more of these, I don't know, but there were some, but apparently that did die out. I'm not aware of any evidence that there's still any left alive. But even either way, okay, so what, right? I mean, when the judgment comes, they'll be dealt with, and that will all disappear too. That's it. That's the end of that. I don't understand why people are so fascinated with this, okay? You know, anyway, so I just also see in these videos many times a lot of obsession with these things, and it's not really edifying. It's not fruitful. It's good to know basics about it, so you know what box to put it in, and that's it. But people can develop an unhealthy obsession with these kinds of things, and the people making some of these videos, you can tell that's what they have. I mean, I know people around here that are obsessed with Bigfoot, okay, and it's probably a similar thing, like, oh, it's a giant, Again, maybe not, but so what, right? Who cares? I mean, what difference does it make? God will let everything be destroyed anyway. So, I mean, anyway, so one way people get into this is they read this false book called the Book of Enoch. And apparently that has a lot of wild stuff in it, including that kind of thing. And they think this is some sign that ties into the end. I mean, we have enough signs that it's the end, But I always warn people about that book, because it's not biblical in the sense that it's not supposed to be in the Bible, and it's not of God, basically, because it has a lot of stuff in there that's not only just far-fetched and wild, just all kinds of out there stuff, but it's even contradicting things in the Bible. So it's not healthy to read it. And they will claim that it's endorsed, and it's not endorsed, because in the book of Jude, he mentions Enoch. Who lived, of course, he quotes one statement Enoch made. That's it. Okay, and from there they want to endorse a whole supposed book that was supposedly written by this Enoch. Well, false, okay? That doesn't endorse it. He doesn't say, even if he had said a book of Enoch, okay? We don't know. We might not have that book today, right? But he doesn't even mention a book. It's just a quote of one statement. And whether that statement would have been in any such book or not still doesn't endorse the whole book. I mean, look, he quotes one statement by Enoch. That's all that's endorsed. I mean, anybody, and nothing more, okay? It's not an endorsement of any supposed book by Enoch. I even could do this, like take the thing that he said, Enoch said, that statement that he quotes him on. I could put that on a piece of paper, and I could write a whole list of things on a page surrounding it, and then write a whole book around that, and claim, oh, Enoch's the author of all this. yeah, says who, right? Based on what evidence? Well, that's the thing. There is no evidence, and then we even have evidence to the contrary because it's um, contrary to the Bible, so it wouldn't have been from Enoch. But okay, so anyway, I just wanted to mention that because there are a lot of false books out there that go by, like false gospels. I forgot what names they go by, but supposed gospels, and they're not valid. Okay, so don't go into any other books like that. Then they have the Apocrypha, which is technically, it's like in the Catholic Bible, there's an extra set of books that's called the Apocrypha. It's just an extra set of books. But when they determined what would be in the actual Bible, the early Christian church, they didn't include those books. And they just included what we have today. And there are reasons for that. I mean, some of these books aren't necessarily bad. Some of them are historical, and some of them are kind of not really biblical, and some of them it's just like maybe this, maybe that, but it's extra and we don't need it. It's not relevant to salvation at all. And I don't think God wanted the Bible to be that big. See, that people would think, oh, I'm never going to get through all of that. Forget it. I mean, but that's probably why they left it in there. You know what I mean, right? They didn't want people reading the Bible back then. If you look into that history, you'll find out um, they actually punished people for it. And when they were trying to translate the Bible, they persecuted them seriously, severely. Okay, so they did not want the Bible out there. It's not like they look today. Today, they have no choice because the Protestants got the Bible out of the closet, and now they just put on a nice little mask. Oh, yes, yes. No, they didn't want that originally. So, yeah, no. Look into that history. There's a lot there. Anyway, but God didn't want the Bible that big. I mean, most Bibles like this, it's a pretty decent size. It's like usually they're about 1,200 pages or so. It's doable. It's easily readable, and people will complain about that, and it's like, but these will be the same people that will read novel after novel with 500 pages, 1,000 pages in them, even, and they're okay with that, right? But the Word of God, they have a problem with reading. So, I mean, most of us have a lifetime. You can easily read this and still read other things, and there's enough time. Definitely read this. That's the first thing. And if anything, the only thing, but we have to be careful what we read too. I mean, you can be led into all kinds of things by reading the wrong books. But there are good books out there too, of course, but you just have to be careful. But anyway, this is the book. Okay. Oh, and speaking of that, I might as well throw this in now. There's another thing about, I found this out. This is just a lot of random stuff, okay? Some of it is an answer to questions, and some of it is just connected. So I might as well mention this too. I was looking at this and I saw a lot of references lately to the what's called the Septuagint. I'll write this down. Wait a minute here. Okay, so there, you know how they have the original manuscripts of the Bible, and so there were several of these. And the most original copies apparently are lost, but one of the next best ones is called the Septuagint. It actually means 70, I guess, in Greek, but anyway, that's what it means. But and there, because there were 70 translators who translated it from Hebrew into Greek over in Alexandria, but it's in Egypt today. But back in the Roman Empire days, that's where this was. It was really a fancy place back then. But anyway, so they had a big library. It's famous. Anyway, they wanted a copy of the Bible at the time. So, or at least, yeah, I forgot how it went, but they had 70 scholars come and translate it from Jerusalem, from Hebrew into Greek. So, and it's pretty recent, around the time of Jesus, that recent time, okay? But so I mean, in early, it's like early. It's that kind, all right. Apparently, it's anyway. It's a very reliable translation, and what's interesting about it is they have differences between this and something called a Masoretic text, which is not as accurate in different ways, okay? It wasn't any main doctrines or anything, okay? But there was a difference in timelines and genealogies that they got right and they got wrong, and this makes much more sense if you're digging into the historical part of this. So definitely in that case, I would say get a Septuagint and go with that. The New Testament is already that way, so don't worry, but it's more like past, the early history, the genealogies, and that kind of thing. So I just wanted to mention that. It's not something you have to run out and buy, but just wanted to mention that, things make more sense here, okay? And you can look this up as well online. Just type this in, and in YouTube you can type this in, and there's several channels. There's one channel where the guy really gets into this and explains it all really well, and different versions and which translations are better and why. And so he gets into this, explaining this really well. So anyway, just anything you want to research like that and look up, just dive in. I mean, it's there. The information is out there. Okay, so I will make this video, and then I'm going to come back and do two more videos. Okay, now, so this is done. All right. Okay, let me see here. This is half an hour. Okay, good. I'll be right back.